Hey guys, welcome back to Kids Church. We're really happy to be here with you guys, and we hope you guys are doing well. My name is Mr. Josh.
And I'm Miss Bree.
And we're going to be talking to you guys about a story. But first, Miss Bree has an activity for me. I have no clue what this is, but she said just to be ready. So here we go.
So, I have a piece of paper and some scissors.
Okay.
And Mr. Josh, I want you to somehow create a way for you to be able to fit your whole body through this piece of paper and walk through.
Okay.
Okay. You can do anything. There's no rules.
No rules. Okay.
I mean, yeah, there's no rules. You don't want to tear the paper though. You want to be able to walk through the paper.
All right. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, I got
Did you see this on TV one time or something?
No, I'm guessing what I'm doing. I have no idea what to do because I don't want to rip the paper. All right. Let's see. So this is a hole. Let's try it.
Okay.
All right. Got my head through. I think that's the biggest part of my body, anyways. All right. Let's see. All right.
You got an arm.
Got an arm. Let's see. Okay. It broke. So I'm gonna say I can't do that.
I'm gonna say you can't do that either. So that seems pretty impossible, right?
Pretty much.
So today we're gonna learn about somebody who was also asked to do something impossible. But let me give you a little background about this story first so you know kind of where we're coming from. So let's rewind and we're going to start off talking about the nation of Israel. So the nation of Israel was divided and there were very few good kings. And there was a prophet named Elijah who was sent there by God to warn the people to repent and turn away from idols and sin. Because of their sin, God allowed the Assyrians to scatter Israel. Babylon then exiled Judah.
The people of God were still prisoners in Babylon. They lived far away from the country, and they thought to themselves a lot. Maybe if we would have obeyed God from the beginning, we wouldn't be in the place that we're in, and we wouldn't be prisoners.
That's probably true. But it was like the nation of Israel was dead. The people were so sad that they did not have any hope that things could change. Ezekiel was a prophet of God, and God gave Ezekiel messages, and Ezekiel told those messages to the people. Even when the people were prisoners in the country of Babylon, Ezekiel still preached about God.
So one day, Ezekiel had a very special dream. But this dream wasn't really like the ones we have a lot of the times, right? When we're sleeping, that's when we normally have dreams. But it was a special dream that God sent to him. And this kind of dream was called a vision.
In Ezekiel's vision, the Lord took him into a valley of dry human bones. Oh,
that's pretty gnarly.
That must have seemed a little creepy and smelled and dark and but the Lord set Ezekiel down right in the middle of all those bones, and Ezekiel looked at all those bones and knew that they must have belonged to people who had died a very long time ago. I mean, there was bones scattered everywhere and they were all white and dry.
Then Ezekiel heard God's voice, and God said, "Ezekiel, can these bones come to life again?" Ezekiel must have thought to himself, well, how powerful. And he thought about how powerful God was. It would be impossible for the bones to come back to life without God. And Ezekiel knew this, so he answered to the Lord, "Only you know if they can come back to life."
Then the Lord told Ezekiel to do something very unusual. He told Ezekiel to talk to the old dry bones. He told him to prophesy to them and tell them words of the Lord. Ezekiel did just as the Lord said, and he prophesied to those old, dead, dry bones.
So then the Lord told Ezekiel, that God could make the bones breathe again, that they would come back to life. He would put tendons and flesh and muscles and, all the things that a body needs to walk and function, that he would do it. That Ezekiel would just tell them to breathe and come back to life.
When Ezekiel prophesied to those bones, just as God had said, the bones started rattling and shaking, and soon the bones started coming together, and the flesh and the skin appeared on them. And Ezekiel was amazed to see and hear all of this in his vision.
Prophesied to the breath, God's voice commanded Ezekiel. Ezekiel prophesied to breath in the bodies, and the bodies started breathing again. They stood up, and there were many live people surrounding Ezekiel. Ezekiel said that all the people around him that rose up looked like a huge army. It was amazing. God took a bunch of dry bones and made an army.
Then the Lord told Ezekiel that the nation of Israel was like the valley of dry bones, that their nation had been conquered and all the people were prisoners. The beautiful city of Jerusalem and the temple had been knocked down and burned. The people of Israel felt like their country was dead, and they thought there was no hope.
But God can do anything. He can take a bunch of dry, dead bones and bring them back to life and make an army. He can also take the nation of Israel and make them strong again. He could take the people back to their land and rebuild the temple.
Now Ezekiel understood the vision. Ezekiel would keep prophesying to the people of Israel. They might be prisoners now, but someday they would get to go back to their homes. Ezekiel was happy to tell the people the good news. Now they could all have something to hope for.
There are things in the natural that seem impossible and can possibly be impossible sometimes. For Ezekiel, this was having to tell a bunch of dry bones to come to life. For you, that might be trusting that God will provide all the finances for your family, or, when a relative or someone you love can be really sick and it seems like they're not getting better, God can make that happen and heal them.
There are also things in the spirit that may seem impossible. For Ezekiel, that was believing that God would bring his people back to the Lord and rescue them from captivity. For you, that might be praying that your non-Christian friend gives their life to the Lord, or asking God for your prayer language or other spiritual gifts.
God is amazing and mighty. He can and will do the impossible in your life if that's within his plan.
Now, I'd like a turn to try and do something impossible. Okay, so it's my turn now. I'm going to move this chair over here. I'm going to scoot it up so you can see, so I'm not cheating or doing anything weird. Okay, so I'm going to start. Here's my piece of paper. I'm going to fold it in half, like a hot dog. And now I'm going to start just cutting different slits in it.
I don't know if you can do it. It's not that easy.
Okay, so now I dropped my scissors. Now I have this weird thing, but I'm not done yet. I don't know if you can see it from there. Let me pick up my scissors. Now I have one more thing to do. So all the sides that are still together like this, see there's an open side, and then there's a side.
Lift it up a little bit just so they can, just lift it up.
Well, it's kind of hard. So here's my paper so far.
Let me help you. So this is your paper.
Okay, so now I'm gonna cut through all the open sides, all the closed sides, sorry. So there's open and closed. That's why I need
So if you guys decide to do this at home, make sure you ask your parents for help with the scissors.
The only thing is, so I'm gonna cut all the closed sides except for the ends. I don't wanna cut the ends.
Okay.
So I'm gonna skip this end and I'm gonna cut these closed sides. not my end, so I'm gonna keep that end. And now, here's my piece of paper. Here it goes. I'm walking through it, through my whole body. I win.
Okay, I guess you do. I guess you were right.
Seems impossible, but if you have the right tools, you can do it.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome. So with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and say today's Bible verse. And you guys can find this in Matthew 19, verse 26. And we're going to go ahead and say this. Are you guys ready? So you guys know how it goes. We're going to go ahead and say it first, and then you guys follow along. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Matthew 19:26. But Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible." So now we'll say it together with you guys on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Matthew 19:26. But Jesus looked at them and said, "With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible."
Awesome. So remember that, guys. Even though things around us might look impossible, or maybe even God's calling us to do something, right? To go talk to somebody or encourage somebody. Just remember, it might seem impossible at the moment, but if it's what God's calling you to do, He's gonna make a way and make it possible. So here's some things to think about. Is there something in your life that kind of seems impossible or feels impossible?
And what are some ways that can help you give that impossible task to God? For example, praying about it, or asking for prayer, or reading an encouraging verse or story from the Bible, or worshiping through that circumstance?
You know, like we said, a lot of times just these things just don't add up, right, in our heads because we're just human. It just doesn't make sense sometimes, and that's okay. But it's always good to just go back to God and say, "Okay, God," because we don't want to be like the people that didn't obey God either, right? You know, they were imprisoned, and you know, all the blessings that God had for their lives, you know, they kind of like washed them away by not listening to God. So we don't want to do that either. So be encouraged, guys. Know that with everything that you have going on, with whatever you have going on, it's never impossible to get out of the situations if God's with you. So take care, guys. We love you, and we'll see you later.
Bye.